Well, good morning, WellHouse Church. Pastor Cullen here. Excited to be back storytelling with you once again. I apologize for missing last week. It has just been crazy. Now, I want to continue our new series that I'm doing for Advent called A Different Kind of Christmas. Now, you know me, I'm a storyteller, so I want to tell you a story about the history of baptism. We're going to look at Jesus' baptism today. And I need you to understand a little bit about what baptism is and was. Baptism is actually something that began in the Old Testament. It's not actually in the Old Testament, but it's in the contemporary Old Testament time. And basically what baptism was is it was these purification rituals that you had to go through if you defiled yourself. If you did something in the law that was defilement. You also had to do it if you converted over to Judaism from something else. And you had to do it before you could go into the temple. And they were kind of like ritual, like cattle bathing troughs. You had this big thing and it had naturally sourced water in it. And it had 7 steps down, fully immerse yourself, and 7 steps up. You just had to go through it and you were cleaning yourself. It was a ritual purification. And it was very common, even in the Second Temple period, which is what we find Jesus in. By that time, it's being, like the Greek word is being used for it, baptism. It's a common ritual practice. Like Jesus did not invent this practice. What Jesus is known for is Jesus is known for jumping on the scene and doing this practice different with his cousin John the Baptist. And don't you know, everybody around the time of Jesus when he's doing it is just going, oh my God, Jesus and weird cousin John are over there doing that thing in the river. I don't even know why they do that. John's a weird dude. He's like dresses in strange clothing, he eats strange food, and he preaches a different lifestyle than what a lot of people around him think. And Jesus jumps on the scene and has this moment with John the Baptist, very famous moment where it's the baptism of Jesus, and the famous lines from God are said. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And the Spirit descends upon him like a dove. Like, this is a big moment where Jesus embraces that he is going to do life and faith a little differently than those around him. The reason I tell you that story is because that's what going to Christmas feels like for a lot of people. A lot of times, as adults, we don't believe all the same things that we were taught when we were kids. Sometimes our parents and our family still do. Sometimes we think differently. Sometimes we believe differently. And sometimes when we come back together at Christmas, it's these big reminders that we're doing things differently. And for some people, some families, that's really difficult. That's really hard. And Christmas is a time that creates that. Christmas, Thanksgiving, the holiday season, we're seeing people more often than we normally would, talking to them when we normally wouldn't, any of the above. And sometimes if family is not receiving that well, it's really high anxiety, high tense, high stress, high pressure situations. Which I got to imagine is exactly what Jesus felt in this moment in his baptism. He's like, I'm about to do this thing in front of all these people that says I am about to go to the beat of my own drum and do my own thing in this way that we do faith and religion. And so he does, and he has this big moment, this great big spiritual experience, this moment of expression and proclamation of who he wants to be. And immediately, this is what the text says. Luke chapter 4, verse 1. Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. Jesus went away. Jesus took his moment. Jesus had some time to himself. Now, the story writers turn this into a opportunity where he's tempted in the desert or in the wilderness for 40 days by the devil. This is what the story that comes next. And we might say that there is something to be said for ups and downs, that there's always a temptation to go lower and lower in some of these moments. And that's not the place we want to go, because that's a dangerous place. But Jesus goes away to be alone. Jesus goes into the wilderness, to the desolate place, to be with himself, to be with his thoughts, to do whatever he needed to do to be emotionally healthy. Jesus went away to be alone. In the last story you heard from me, I said that it's okay to take your minute. It's okay to need a hot minute. And I'm telling you again, this is big moments for a lot of people. And it's okay to say you need a minute. It's okay to take some time to be with yourself if you need that. That is a 100% acceptable thing for you to do. Jesus clearly has demonstrated that truth for us, that after these moments of high anxiety, it's okay to be alone, to watch Netflix, to chill, to sit in bed and eat ice cream, to drink hot chocolate, to do whatever you want to do. It's okay to have your minute. It's okay to rest and recuperate. And so, WellHouse Church, my question to you is, how will you make sure that you take your time to rest this Christmas?